Welcome to Boost Your Metabolism with these simple exercises. Today we will talk about Kenny Payne's story in Cobra Kai doesn't begin in a dojo, or with a dramatic fight. It starts in a place far more ordinary, but just as brutal for a kid trying to find his way. The unforgiving halls of West Valley Middle School were Kenny's first battleground, a place where every day felt like a test of survival, not just a lesson in math or science. Kenny was a regular kid, nerdy, into cosplay, video games, and comics. He kept to himself, hoping to blend in, but that all changed when Anthony LaRusso and his friends decided to make him their target. The bullying was relentless: catfishing, public humiliation, stolen clothes, and daily torment. Kenny's confidence crumbled under the weight of constant ridicule. Every day, he felt smaller, more invisible, and more alone. He walked the halls with his head down, hoping to disappear into the crowd, but the abuse only intensified, and whispers followed him everywhere he went. Attempts to get help went nowhere. Teachers and counselors offered empty reassurances, but nothing changed. The system that was supposed to protect him looked the other way. The system failed him, and his fear slowly turned to anger. That anger simmered beneath the surface, growing stronger with every cruel joke and shove in the hallway. This pain planted a seed of darkness in Kenny. He began to question why he was always the victim and what it would take to make it stop. He wasn't born a villain, he was shaped by cruelty. The world around him was cold, and it was molding him into something new, something harder. Kenny started to believe that the only way to survive was to become stronger than his tormentors. He needed to find a way to fight back, to reclaim the power that had been stolen from him. Kenny's transformation wasn't about becoming a bully, at least not at first. It was about survival, about refusing to be a victim any longer. He trained in secret, channeling his pain into every punch and kick. He needed to reclaim his dignity, to stop being prey. Each day he grew a little stronger, a little more confident, determined to change his story. The journey from scared kid to fighter is the heart of Kenny's story. It's a transformation born from pain but also from hope. The hope that he could become someone who mattered. Payne twisted his innocence into aggression, and when he finally pushed back, he found a strength he never knew he had. For the first time, he saw fear in the eyes of his tormentors. But that strength came with a cost. Kenny began to wonder if he was losing himself in the process, if the line between victim and aggressor was starting to blur. Kenny's path would force him to confront not just his bullies, but the person he was becoming. Was he still fighting for survival, or was he becoming the very thing he once feared? The bullied was about to become something else entirely. Kenny was no longer invisible. He was a force to be reckoned with, and everyone could see it. And the world would soon take notice. Kenny Payne's journey was just beginning, and the echoes of his transformation would ripple far beyond the halls of West Valley Middle School. Desperate, Kenny turned to his brother Sean, who pointed him to Robby Keene. Robby, a Cobra Kai member, saw himself in Kenny and took him under his wing. He taught Kenny the basics of karate, and more importantly, gave him hope. Robby's intentions were good. Empower Kenny, help him stand tall. But Cobra Kai's strike first no mercy philosophy resonated with Kenny's anger. The dojo became his sanctuary, his pain fueling every punch and kick. Under Robby's guidance, Kenny's skills grew fast. Maybe too fast. Robby wanted to help, but he was also arming a boy hungry for revenge. Kenny wasn't just learning to defend himself, he was learning to dominate. The line between self-defense and aggression blurred, and Kenny was ready to cross it. The turning point came quietly, almost unnoticed, but its impact would echo for years to come. It happened in the school locker room, a place that had always felt cold and hostile, where whispered threats and mocking laughter lingered in the air. Kenny, once the quiet kid who kept his head down, now stood tall. He faced Anthony and his friends head-on, his eyes burning with a new resolve. This time he didn't shrink away. He fought back, fast, fierce, and almost unrecognizable to those who thought they knew him. The bullies, so used to seeing him cower, were left stunned and speechless. Kenny's training, all those hours spent preparing for this moment, paid off. He struck first, struck hard, and didn't hesitate. The balance of power shifted in an instant. For the first time, Anthony and his crew were afraid. Their confidence shattered, they backed away, unsure of what Kenny was now capable of. The victory was more than just physical, it was an emotional release. Kenny's pent-up anger, all the humiliation and pain exploded in that moment. He wasn't just defending himself anymore, he was reclaiming his dignity, taking back the power that had been stolen from him for so long. The satisfaction was intoxicating and dangerous. For a brief moment, Kenny felt invincible, as if nothing could ever hurt him again. This was Kenny's first taste of vengeance, and it felt like justice. The scales had finally tipped in his favor. The no mercy creed became his solution, a shield against the pain of the past. He embraced it, letting it guide his every move. Kenny's fear was replaced by dominance. The bullied had become the intimidator. He relished the shift, but something inside him began to change. But the victory came at a cost. The line between justice and revenge blurred, and Kenny felt a new kind of emptiness settle in. Revenge began to corrupt him, pushing him toward becoming the very thing he once hated. The reflection in the mirror was no longer familiar. He stopped the bullying, but started using fear as his weapon. The power he'd gained was addictive, and he wielded it recklessly. The transformation was complete. For now, Kenny had crossed the threshold and there was no turning back. And as he walked away, the darkness inside him was only growing, threatening to consume everything he once was. Terry Silver saw potential in Kenny and took him under his wing. Silver's mentorship was cold, calculated, and dangerous. He drilled into Kenny a devastating move, the Silver Bullet, a single, incapacitating strike. Silver's praise fed Kenny's ego, isolating him from Robby and others. Kenny idolized Silver, embracing his ruthless ideology. The Silver Bullet became Kenny's signature, a symbol of his transformation. Kenny was no longer just a student, he was Silver's chosen weapon. The technique was more than a way to win, it was a tool of intimidation. Kenny's descent into Cobra Kai's darkness was complete. He was now an executioner, not just a fighter, and the consequences would soon follow. Kenny's rivalry with Anthony LaRusso exploded at the water park. Now the aggressor, Kenny hunted Anthony, turning the tables with calculated cruelty. The chase was terrifying for Anthony. Kenny relished every moment. This wasn't self-defense, it was bullying, pure and simple. The confrontation ended with Kenny dunking Anthony's head underwater until Robby intervened. Kenny's anger had blinded him to the line between justice and cruelty. Robby realized he'd created a monster. For Kenny, Robby's intervention felt like betrayal. The water park clash marked Kenny's full transformation into the bully he once despised. The cycle of pain had come full circle, and Kenny was lost in it. Cobra Kai's invitation to the Sekai Taikai was Kenny's chance to shine globally. As Silver's top student, he entered the world stage with ruthless confidence. In the qualifiers, Kenny's cold precision shocked everyone. His fight against Eli "Hawk" Moskowitz was decisive. He used the Silver Bullet, ending the match instantly. The brutal win sent shockwaves, but it was controversial. The referee, bribed by Silver, let it stand, but the victory felt tainted. Kenny felt invincible, but the cost was isolation. He was no longer an underdog, but Silver's ruthless enforcer. The Sekai Taikai was about honor, but Kenny's win twisted that ideal. He gained recognition but lost a piece of his humanity. The darkness was now on display for the world, and there was no turning back. The emotional climax of the season erupted during the chaotic brawl at the Cobra Kai dojo, where tensions that had been simmering for months finally boiled over. The air was thick with adrenaline and unresolved grudges, as students clashed in a whirlwind of fists and fury. In the heart of the chaos, Kenny finally came face to face with Robby Keene, his mentor, his friend, and now, his bitter rival. The history between them made this confrontation inevitable. This wasn't just another match in the dojo, it was a raw, deeply personal confrontation, charged with betrayal and heartbreak. Every punch thrown carried the weight of their shared past. Kenny, consumed by anger and the sting of betrayal, unleashed every brutal technique Silver had drilled into him. He fought not just to win, but to prove himself, to silence the pain inside. Robby, on the other hand, refused to fight back with the same ferocity. He blocked Kenny's attacks, not out of fear but out of compassion, desperately trying to reach the boy he once cared for, hoping to break through the anger. In the midst of the fight, Robby pleaded with Kenny, revealing the painful truth. Silver had manipulated him from the start, using his anger as a weapon. The fight didn't end with a dramatic knockout, but with Kenny collapsing to his knees, overwhelmed by emotion. The realization hit him harder than any punch could. When Kenny saw Silver's confession, the truth shattered his illusions. Everything he believed in, every reason he fought, suddenly felt like a lie. The anger that had fueled him drained away, leaving only regret and sorrow in its place. Kenny was left to confront the consequences of his choices. For a brief moment, Kenny looked at Robby, not as an enemy, but as the friend he had lost along the way. The pain between them was real, but so was the hope for forgiveness. Defeated and emotionally spent, Kenny walked away from Cobra Kai, leaving behind the darkness that had consumed him and the toxic legacy of Silver's teachings. In the quiet aftermath, the dojo stood empty, a symbol that the cycle of violence had finally been broken, at least for now. But for Kenny, the path to redemption was only just beginning. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, he was ready to face it with hope. With Cobra Kai disbanded, Kenny stands at a crossroads. His journey from victim to villain has left scars and questions. Can he find redemption? The path will be long and hard. Joining Miyagi-Do could teach him balance and peace, but it won't be easy. Rebuilding friendships, especially with Robby and Anthony, will take time. Kenny might also choose a new path, stepping away from karate to rediscover himself. True redemption means proving his worth beyond fighting. Kenny's future is unwritten, a chance to become a hero, not just a fighter. His story is a reminder. Pain can shape us, but we choose our path forward. The next chapter is about more than karate. It's about Kenny Payne's fight for his own soul.